To learn how to draw hands in any position, let's work with a few reference photos of hands in different positions. The more you practice drawing from reference, the better you will be at drawing from imagination whenever you want. Right now, we're not getting too detailed yet, so this is going to be a quick exercise, and we are just sketching the hands to get the proportions right. To start, let's work with this hand. You can see the hand is kind of tilted on a 45-degree angle, and you can start by drawing the main shape of the hand like this. I'm drawing it kind of like a box to make it easier to add the fingers later. When you're ready, you can add the knuckles in little circles like this, and then break each finger into little sections. As you can see, if you look at your hand, each one of our 4 fingers have 3 sections each, and our thumb has 2 sections. So by breaking the fingers into sections like this, you will be able to draw proportional fingers. To do that, all you have to do is draw the main angles for each section of finger. Just draw a little line in the direction that you think each section is going towards. Now, I'm just drawing these oval shapes for each section, and once you have the main positions for each finger, you can add a little bit more detail, contouring the hand and each finger so it looks more like a hand, basically. Always come back to your reference to check if the positions are making sense, and if you feel like something could be improved, feel free to just erase it and start again, and the more you practice, the more this is going to come naturally to you. When you're ready, you can add the thumb as well, doing just the same process, break it into sections and draw first the angles, then the geometrical shapes, and then you can turn that into a finger. Let's move on to a second example. In this one, we can only see one side of the hand, and I'm going to start by drawing the main shape like we did before, and in this case it's kind of like a rectangle, and now you can add the knuckles of each finger the same way we did before, but in this case it's different because we can't really see the knuckles, right? There's a lot of things hidden in this picture, but you should draw it anyway so you know where things should be, and then you can just erase the extra lines that you're not supposed to see, right? So draw the knuckles anyway, even if you can't really see them. Draw them as you think they should be by looking at your reference and thinking like, where does this finger start, right? When you draw what's invisible, it's easier to make the proportions right. So draw each part of the hand, and then you can erase anything that you're not going to use later. After you have the main angles of each finger broken into sections, you can draw each section into oval shapes like this, like I did before. And as you can see, it's starting to look like a hand. Our third example is this one, and the difference here is that we have 3 folded fingers in this one. So it might look easier, but when we can't see what's really going on, it's easier to mess up the proportions and end up with a drawing that looks like a drawing and it's not 3D, it's not proportional, you know what I mean? So let's see how we can work with this. Again, we're going to start the same way. Draw the main shape of the palm of the hand in this case. And again, draw the knuckles where they would be if you could see them. And from here, since the fingers are not extended and we don't have many angles to work with, I'm going to skip to the oval shapes part where we draw an oval shape to represent a section of finger. And again, I'm always following my reference. I'm looking at the reference and going back to the paper to draw. So I'm still breaking the fingers down into sections and drawing each section into oval shapes, trying to follow the angle and size that would make sense according to my reference. Let's move on to another super cool hand position. Again, you draw the shape of the palm of the hand, the knuckles, break each finger into sections, and draw the oval shapes for each section, following the angle in which each finger is on your reference photo. I think you got the idea, right? Now, I'm just going to draw 2 more examples for you to see. This method is very reliable in my experience, and I've been drawing hands using this system for years, and it just made it so easy for me. I use it to avoid drawing hands. I used to draw people with hands in their pockets or hide their hands behind their back. You know, like those little tricks where you don't want to draw something and then you just make it as you don't have to, right? But no, I kind of love drawing hands because it always makes me feel a little proud of myself for being able to draw something that is difficult in general, right? Like drawing hands is hard, guys. Like don't be sad if this is hard for you because it's honestly hard for everyone. It's such an intricate part of our body that changes a lot from person to person, and I just really hope this method helps you feel proud of yourself and that you start loving drawing hands from now on. Let's try drawing a hand using colored paper like this one. If you go to the art store, you can find gray paper. You can find like a toned brown kind of paper. But I really love this blue. When you have a different tone to start with, you can play with the values of the drawing in a different way. So since this is not white or black, we're basically starting the drawing from a mid-value standpoint. Where before, when we were working on a white page, we were starting from the light and then adding the shadows, right? If you are working on a black page, like when you see artists doing scratch paper, for example, you're starting from the dark and then adding just the light. When you're working on a colored paper like this, you're starting from the middle. So we're going to add dark and light. Let's start by sketching the hands as you normally would. And here I'm drawing two of the same hand just to show you how to add color later. But first things first, let's start with 3 colors. Okay, black, white, and the color of the page. So we're going to do different values using these 3 colors, okay? Once you finish your sketch, you can start shading the drawing with your black fine line ink pen as we did before. Now keep in mind that when we are working on a white page, we were painting the darker values all the way to almost white. In this case, since we're working from the midtones are already there. So instead of painting the midtones like we were doing with the white page, we are leaving the midtones empty so the color of the page appears, and that can be our midtone. And then later, we're going to paint the lights using white. This means you're adding less black ink to your drawing because you're only drawing the darkest shadows. Just focus on the darkest spots in your reference picture and keep following the same technique we were doing before. Start from the darkest and move towards the light. As you can see, the hatching works kind of like blending the black with the blue from the paper. And when you have the shading part done, we can start adding the whites using a simple white colored pencil. You could also do this part using a white gel pen like we were doing before, but I find that the white gel pen creates a thicker line than what I like. I kind of prefer to have like a smoother, more delicate effect. So I'm gonna use a white colored pencil to do the lights. Now, you just follow the reference photo to recreate the lightest spots on your drawing. And this part is super fun and satisfying because as you start adding the lights, you will see your drawing coming to life, my friends. It's just gonna feel more three-dimensional. It's gonna create depth, create that sense that this is not a paper anymore, it's a hand, So the more values you're able to create in your drawing, the more three-dimensional your drawing will look like. And this is it. I hope you like this version of the hand. Now that we understood how to draw starting from the midtone, let's add an extra challenge and try to create realistic coloring using colored pencils. You will see that the idea is the same, but now instead of thinking only about the value scale, which means the lightness and darkness of your drawing, we are considering colors and hues as well. First, let's look at this reference. Our brain tends to group all the colors that are in a picture or whatever you're looking at and create kind of like a general main color for anything we look at. So in this case, we might look at this picture and maybe we see like some light pinks, maybe we see like a peach color, some light oranges, some gray, right? But when we isolate the colors in this reference, we might get some colors that are not super clearly visible like this one. And by blending them together, we will be able to create these final colors that we see in this picture. So let's start by erasing the extra pencil lines on your sketch and leaving only some light marks to guide you. Then you can start using one color that you think is the main color of your drawing. Don't press the pencil too hard on the paper because you can harm the paper and then you won't be able to add another color on top. So start slow and smooth so we can be able to blend the colors well later. Coloring with colored pencils is all about layering. You can color the paper by creating little strokes with the pencil or drawing in a little circular motion. Always very smooth and soft. Next, I'm going to start adding one of my shadow tones. In this case, I chose this darker brown to start creating some depth. And always remember to keep coming back to your reference picture and asking yourself, should this be darker? Should this be lighter? Should this be more yellow? Should it be more pink? Right? Just keep comparing your drawing to your original colors and your original reference and look for colors that might help you reach the right original coloring of your picture. In my case, I noticed that the original colors are much lighter. So now I'm adding this light beige color. As I was doing it, I started noticing that it kind of looks too light now. So I decided to add some deep reds in this hand to make it look more human. And now I'm going to use some of the previous colors to blend all the layers together. I'm also using this dark brown to define my shadows a little better. So I'm just creating some dark lines where the wrinkles are and all the spaces between each finger. Basically all the dark spots in your hand. Notice how this creates a beautiful contrast and the hand starts to take form and look less flat and more three-dimensional. Basically, this is what we're doing. We're starting from the mid-tone and then adding lighter colors to create the lights and then darker colors to create the shadows, always following our reference picture. If you're having trouble picking the colors, try squinting your eyes when you look at your reference. In the case of this picture, when I squint my eyes, I see like this bright orange that I'm not seeing in my drawing. So I'm going to try adding that as well. As you can see, the hand is starting to look a little more natural as I mix up the colors and I blend them together. With the white pencil, I can enhance the lights and create some light spots that really help us create the 3D effect that we want. Makes it look like it has depth and just makes it look more real. I also see a very clear dark gray tone that makes up the darker parts of the hand. So I'm just going to keep following the reference, looking for those darker spots, and then just add some dark gray to them. If I really look at it, I see some blue where the veins are. Again, you guys, I'm not making this up. Like the blue, blood, blue, veins, okay? It just makes sense. So I'm going to add some blue to my drawing to create this blood flow vibes. Now, when you want to add some deeper, more contrasting shadows, you can use a black pencil and even a black ink pen if you want to create some deeper lines and shadows in your drawing. Just remember that the black ink pen won't blend with the colored pencil, so you should only use it to create like wrinkles or maybe like some lines in between fingers or just some really, really dark shadows. And whatever else there is, even if it's a really dark shadow that's a larger area, maybe go for the black pencil. Unless you want to create something more creative and just like mix some line art style with some coloring style, super creative, go for it. I support it. But since I wanted to do something more traditional or realistic maybe, I just used the black ink pen for extra details. And this is what we have for today, everyone. I hope this class really helps you upgrade your drawing skills. It makes you feel more confident and just makes drawing hands more fun and easier thing for you.